And now we would like to invite Bethany to continue the story of Erica and sport.
It's 2017, and Erica is sorting through thousands of old family photos, making an album for her mom, organizing them into years and chapters of the family's life. When she gets to 1979, there's a gap. No photos at all. She tries to recall what happened in 1979, and then it comes rushing back to her. That's the year her family moved to Panama. It was a very tough move for Erica, except for that sliver of light, that church they attended as a family, and that tan boy who became her first sweetheart much too briefly. She can't even remember his name, but finds herself wondering how life had unfolded for that boy, and where it had taken him after their goodbyes. A few months later, Erica is checking Facebook. It's a day like any other day, and she sees a personal message request from a Paul Barber. She doesn't know anyone by that name. So she's about to delete it, but her eyes fall on the word Panama, and as she scans the message more closely, she sees more about a girl named Erica and a kid named Sport, and she knows who this is within a moment. Somehow, after all these years, and just months after first thinking about that tan boy from Panama, he's reached out to her. She replies, "The first order of business is to discover what they do now for work and where in the world they live. They learn about each other, that Erica is an epidemiologist in Switzerland, that Sport is a spiritual care coordinator and grief counselor in Montana. Mutually impressed, they continue to explore, taking their chats to the phone, Sport amazed at how alike they are and how beautiful Erica still clearly is. Erica mutually struck at their chemistry and how Sport clearly has medicine, as Native Americans would say. They share how they both remember 1979, the baby frogs, when they first touched, when they did that blood pact, when Sport gave her the necklace, when he said goodbye, and how mad she was when he left, how painful it was for both of them. They talk about their jobs and current situations. When it comes time to broaching the topic of past relationships as adults, Erica tells Sport that for that conversation, it warrants a face-to-face meeting. He agrees and proposes that they meet for a few days in Montana. They can talk about their adult pasts in front of a fire stories, if you will. And suddenly, Erica's inner scientist is kicking in. She just has to know more data about Sport. Is this real? Is Sport true? And she's buying a plane ticket from Switzerland to Montana, and Sport starts preparing a campsite for her visit where the Yak and Kootenai rivers converge, just like the reconvergence of their lives, on a riverbank, like the place that started between them all those years ago. The day Erica touches down in Spokane, Sport is waiting at the airport. He catches a glimpse of her walking through security, and he cannot believe his eyes. He's in absolute wonder at the adult version of Erica standing in front of him. She sees him, and they rush towards each other, wonderstruck, and they hug and hug and hug and laugh. Erica only needs that moment to know they still have the chemistry they had in Panama. And Sport's eyes are kind and gentle now, just like then. Sport cannot stop watching how Erica moves and talks, trying to convince himself that this is really happening, that he is in the presence of the very first love of his life. The shock of a face before him that he hasn't looked at in 4 decades. The mystery of looking to find the 11-year-old girl in the face of the magnificent lady walking next to him. They make their way to Troy, Montana, and camp together for 4 nights. And they tell each other their fire stories. It's a magical encounter of their souls. They hold each other's hearts very tenderly in those 4 days, sharing their unfulfilled dreams, their failed relationships, their wishes for their families, and the dreams for their futures. They give careful audience to each other's fire stories, and in the giving and receiving of those stories, they embrace the truth of who the other really is. When their time comes to an end, they both agree. It was so profound that they begin planning for her to come back just within 2 months from then. She does, and they camp again, in the same place, with more fire stories. And within the next year, Sport and Erica are leaving their professions and converging their lives in Washington, D.C., to jointly move Erica's parents back to their homeland of Bolivia for the final years of their lives.